start the recording. Okay. Hey, everyone. Good evening. My name is Allison Ernie. I'm the Forestry Mentorship Program Manager. I work with the Placer Resource Conservation District, who serves as one of our sponsors for our program, and they manage our grant funding. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and I'll have my co-hosts introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Nick Dutch. I am the steering committee representative for students on behalf of the program. I was a mentee this past year, as well as the student representative for UC Berkeley, which I'm currently in my graduation year. And yeah, I'm just a resource for students to come express their concerns. And as part of the program, just be able to reach out and talk to them. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know you guys.
Hey everyone, my name is Katie Lowe. I am the program coordinator. That's somehow different than program manager. But I am on the steering committee this year, and I have been pretty involved with the program since its inception in 2020. So happy to support you all here virtually in this training today.
Great, thank you, Katie and Nick. Sorry, my slideshow doesn't want to move. Okay, did that slide change for everyone? Okay, great. So just some boring Zoom etiquette. If everybody could rename themselves with your first and last name, and please indicate if you are a mentor or a mentee. We're going to place folks in breakout rooms, so that would be very helpful. Go ahead and stay muted unless you need to ask a question, but the chat box is sometimes easier for facilitating questions and answers, so go ahead and do that if anything comes up. I'm going to ask Nick to place a link to our program agenda in the chat box for everybody, or maybe they already did, but we'll just do an intro of our program and a little bit of background on our mission statement and what we want to achieve with the program. We'll walk through some of the resources that are available to you as a participant in this program. We have some professional development resources and other interactive trainings and panels. So we'll talk about what's required of you and what's available for you optionally. And we'll go through our program drive, which has some great resources on there for students. We'll hear from some past participants in the program on what worked for them in their mentoring relationship. We'll do our breakout activity of mentors and mentees, just to sort of brainstorm some ideas of what we want to get out of the program and ways that we can get the most out of it. And yeah, again, I'll review the training requirements and options that will be available throughout the academic year. So I will pass it on to Katie to give some program history.
Thanks, Allison. Just to provide some background for those who may be unfamiliar with the program or you're new this year. This Forestry and Natural Resources Career Mentorship Program is a collaborative effort to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in the fields of forestry and natural resource management. We do this by providing personalized mentorship to students studying forestry, as well as several early career development resources to these students. And again, we're particularly interested in providing resources to students who come from traditionally underrepresented backgrounds in the forestry and natural resource community. So students who identify as women, Black, Indigenous, Latinx, or Asian, or LGBTQIA. So we are a relatively new program. As I mentioned earlier, we started in 2020, but since then we are fortunate to be able to partner with 7 universities and community colleges throughout the state, including Bakersfield College, Cal Poly Humboldt, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, College of the Redwoods, Reedley College, Shasta College, and UC Berkeley. So just from some stats from last year that you're seeing on the screen, we were able to facilitate about 61 mentoring pairs last year. Of people who took our end of year survey, about 65% of them indicated that they planned on staying in touch with their mentor or mentee after the program ended last year, which is great. And about 92% of our responses from mentees indicated that they felt adequately supported by their mentor throughout the whole program year, which is awesome. And last year, we were also fortunate to be awarded a 2022 CAL FIRE Business and Workforce Development Grant, which will help us further develop the program throughout this year and also put on more events for both mentors and mentees, which we'll cover later on in the training. And so to give you a little taste of what's happening this year, we have about 64 mentoring pairs from all these schools. And mentors do come from a variety of professions within the forestry and natural resource sector. And as I mentioned, we do have students participating pretty equally from every school, which is great. So that's all I have for program background.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. Okay, so just a couple of goals for our training today. I want you all to walk away knowing the mission of our program and what you're hoping to achieve through the program, and also what we require in terms of training. You're already at one of the required trainings, so nice work. And we're going to review the resources available to us and hopefully build your confidence to have a successful mentoring relationship. I do want to note that we have 2 training days, but you're only required to attend one of these intro trainings. I noticed that some folks are signed up for both. I'm not sure if that was for availability, if folks weren't sure what they were going to make it to, but yeah, just so folks are aware. So I'm going to pass it over to Nick, who's going to give us a walkthrough of the program drive. So you should all see a link to that in the chat box. So I'll pass it to Nick.
Okay, hey guys. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, great.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to go through the program drive. The link should be found in the chat. Within this is the public drive where mentees and mentors can look over the resources that we provide, which include literature on, various ways on how to be a good mentor, what mentorship means, career advancement opportunities. And then we also have information for other mentoring resources, such as on-call mentorship. So these are mentors who have stated that they are on call for any other mentees to ask. There's information about them. So please feel free to use that resource. Another one of our mentorship resources is like a discussion chat for monthly topics and check-ins with your mentor. Sometimes it's just nice to have a little bit of structure of where you're at. And, those first phone calls with your mentors can be a little bit intimidating, getting to know each other, and it's great to have some talking points to discuss. So some examples of that can include one of our monthly discussion topics. So you can review these, some of the questions are generic and they kind of help you get the ball rolling. So feel free to incorporate that with your discussions with your mentor. Other opportunities within this drive include all the information from this session here, from all of our presentations and agenda. And then our reimbursement form for mentees, which we're going to go over in the breakout room with the mentees as well.
Hey, Nick, can I add something really quick? Yeah. I want to draw attention, I think it's under mentoring resources. Yeah, on-call mentors. So this is a list. When we ask for mentors for this program, some folks aren't available to take on a full mentorship, but they are available as an on-call resource. So there's a few folks in here who volunteered for that, and they sort of give a short bio, some background on their professional history, and you can kind of read through this and see if you're interested in something that maybe your mentor hasn't worked in or doesn't have a connection for you. you can kind of reference this sheet and give these folks a call and ask them about career stuff.
Great, thank you, Allison. Okay, and with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can move on.
Nick, do you want to do a walkthrough of the program calendar?
Oh, yes, my apologies. Yeah.
No worries.
So the program calendar, I will send the link to that after sharing, but it's basically a way to just get access for like deadlines on different various things like your quarterly meetings or your communication form agreement, as well as our events. The calendar will include not only information about the event time and the Zoom link, but also a link to the agenda items as well. So after clicking the link, you can subscribe to this calendar, have access to all these events. And I'll send that link over shortly.
Sweet. Thanks, Nick.
No problem.
Okay, let me reshare my screen here. Can you all see that? Okay, great. Okay. I wanted to just take a minute to talk about the communication agreement that everyone received when I sent out the pairings. Nick, if you could link that in the chat, that'd be great. I know most of you have seen this already and a few of you have sent this in, so that's awesome. We kind of adapted this agreement from another mentorship program, and it's really just a way to define what you and your partner are available for in terms of frequency of meetings and how you want to have those meetings. In reading through some of the ones I received, I saw some planning for field trips, and that was a goal for a lot of people, which I think is awesome. We do ask in this program that you meet either virtually or in person at least once a month throughout the academic year, so from November to about June. And I think that will, anything less frequent than that, and the relationship can kind of go a bit slower. I know in the past, we've had some folks say that they have trouble hearing back from their mentor or mentee. So I want to impress upon everyone to please be respectful of your mentor or mentee's time. A lot of our mentors are professionals with full-time jobs. They maybe have families and stuff they want to do outside of work. And we all know that students are also extremely busy with schoolwork and may have jobs and those other commitments as well. So normal to take a while to respond to professional emails. But if it's been, more than a week and you haven't heard back from your program partner, please do reach out to me or Nick or anyone on the steering committee. If you're a mentor, I'm sort of the resource that you can come to if you're having trouble reaching your student. And Nick is a resource for the students. So we can kind of be the bridge between you and your program partner to make sure that the relationship is moving forward. So I'm asking to get these communication agreements back by October 24th. So hopefully you can, have a half-hour phone call with your partner or even an in-person meeting. That would be awesome. Before the 24th and get these back to us. That would be perfect. Anything I missed? Okay. Great. Well, we might be done even earlier than we thought, guys. This is great. So I'm going to pass it on to Nick and their past mentor, Pam, to talk a little bit about their experience with the program last year.
Hi again, guys. Yeah, I would love to just share the story of my mentorship partner from last round. Pam, if you would like to introduce yourself and why you became a mentor in the first place. Yeah.
Sure. Hi, everyone. This is my third year with the mentorship program, and I want to thank Allison in particular and Katie for doing such a wonderful job. I really think this is moving forward every year. So thank you. I retired in 2017, forest manager of Jackson Demonstration State Forest, which you see here in the picture, and was fortunate enough to get some really good students the first 2 years to help me understand some of the issues facing students today. That's a goal for me, but what I really wanted to do was give back to the profession. I worked almost 30 years for CAL FIRE, mostly in forestry, some in fire, and some in both for that time, and really enjoy the profession, the opportunities, and I think the world is wide open as far as the career options at this point for students and people that are interested in natural resource management. And I'd really like to help them find their way through the multitude of options given their interests, and also hope to make sure that we have good people working in natural resources in the future to help us improve our earth, essentially. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam. And just like from the first phone call going over the communications agreement, Pam and I got an understanding of how we were going to go forth with the mentorship program and what style we were going to best communicate in. So we mainly did phone calls, and then we're able to do a couple in-person visits, which were wonderful. I visited Pam at Jackson Demonstration Forest, where her and another mentor got together and created a program for that other mentor's mentee. And then I was able to bring up 2 of my friends from Cal Forestry, and we got a tour of Jackson, got to see different studies going on. It was really amazing, and then like a great tour that was top-notch level. And then just got to, have dinner together, hang out, and kind of get to know each other better. Pam totally kicked my butt on a bike ride. It was rad. That was one of our hobbies that we got paired with, and it was really wonderful to be able to share experiences like that with someone else. Pam was like able to provide me like a visual of what my career could look like, and that was an incredible opportunity to have, and I'm really lucky about that. And was so willing to come down to Berkeley and share her experience with other people visited Berkeley to go to Cal Forestry Club and join us at one of our meetings and share their experience. It was really incredible. So not to humble brag, but it was a really great mentorship on Allison and the rest of the committee that paired us. And I hope that you guys had the same mentor experience. And it takes communication both ways. We all get busy, but I think just checking in and knowing that it's okay to say, thank you so much for being patient. It's been like a really hard month. Finals are going on, and still know that person wants to reach out with you and connect. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great, year. And I hope I'm really fortunate that, I think I can talk to Pam a year from now, and I think that'll continue. So I hope you guys have the same experience.
Great. Thank you both so much for sharing. I think that's awesome. I really encourage folks to try to get into the field with their mentor if that's a possibility. We do offer student stipends for traveling to visit your mentor, which Nick is going to be going over in more detail during the breakout room. But I really encourage everybody to take advantage of that funding that's there for you all to learn something from a professional in the field. I think anecdotally, I learned a lot more in my job in the woods than I did in my classes. Different kind of knowledge, but yeah, really encourage that. So I'm glad that both of you got into the field together. That's awesome. Well, if I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but if there's another mentor or past mentee here who wants to share something that worked in their mentor-mentee relationship, we have a lot of time in the schedule. Does anybody want to volunteer any info? No pressure. Okay, well, hopefully we can get more involved in our next agenda item here. So I think Katie is going to place us into breakout rooms, and we're just going to be there for about 15 minutes, and then we'll come back together as a group.
Yeah, depending on how things go, since we're going faster than we anticipated, maybe we could do 20 minutes depending on how things are going, but we'll aim for 15 for now. So as we asked people to do at the beginning of the meeting, I separated everybody into breakout rooms based on whether or not that you indicated you're a mentor or mentee. So if you're not in the right room, just hop back into the main room and I can add you again.
We found a really great facilitator for our DEI trainings. So I can give a brief overview of their training modules, but basically they're going to be facilitating 4 90-minute sessions, probably about once a month throughout the academic year. So it should fit into your schedule, at least one of them should. Our facilitator highly encourages that you take all of these if you can. Of course, that's not going to be possible for everybody, but our facilitator did mention how this is training that is really becoming very important in our modern workplace. And so having this under your belt is really a good tool. And I would agree with that. So the first training is going to be defining DEI terms and talking about how this issue presents in our industry. The second one will be discussing implicit bias and how that's present in our industry. The third will be about allyship and engagement and how to support underrepresented people in our workplace. And the fourth will be about power and intersectional identity. So each one can stand alone, but they do sort of build on each other. So you'll see more information about that. And if you absolutely can't make one of these, we will likely be recording and allowing people to do makeups. So that's our DEI training summary, and you'll see dates about that. The next thing I want to briefly talk about is our LinkedIn Learning access, which I did mention to our mentors briefly, but I'm just gonna do a short walkthrough of LinkedIn Learning. So we decided to add this as a professional development resource for folks who are participating in the program. It's not mandatory, but LinkedIn Learning offers a bunch of training modules on a variety of topics that can be helpful to managers and to students. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Is that LinkedIn Learning showing up?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, sorry, my mouse is being really funky tonight. But basically, I will add each of your email addresses to a group for the mentorship program, and I'll recommend courses for you all. So here I can see recommended courses. It's going to come from UCANR because that's the UC Cooperative Extension, and we have access to LinkedIn Learning through them. But anyway, there's all kinds of courses in here. There's DEI resources. This one I think was about having difficult conversations in the workplace. So I think especially maybe for our mentor component, you can have access to these professional trainings if you are seeking some managerial training or something like that. So I will be sharing those resources here shortly with all of you. And then folks who have participated before know about our resume and mock interview workshops. So these are really for the students to help prepare you all for applying to your seasonal jobs. So we try to time them appropriately. One will hopefully be around the second week of November. I'll probably try to send out a poll for both of these so that folks can, so we can get the most folks attending and fit it into your class schedule and all that stuff. So we go over what makes your resume better, how to perfect it, and we talk a little bit about professional communication, written professional communication. And then we have our mock interview workshop, which is hopefully the first week of December, to prepare you for your first interviews. And we basically have slots that students can sign up for. We have practice interview questions, and we talk as a group about how to be confident in your interview, what to wear, things like that. So please be on the lookout for emails from us to plan those workshops. And I'm just going to pass it over to Katie to talk a bit about the career panels that we have scheduled, and I'll share the flyer.
Yeah, thanks, Allison. So as part of our program's commitment to promoting the principles of diversity and inclusion in the fields of forestry and resource management, last year we began to pilot career panels featuring folks from historically underrepresented groups in forestry that coincide with heritage or history months that happen throughout the year. So our first event coming up is for a Hispanic Heritage Month, which is actually, I believe, almost over, but because of the start of the program being now, we wanted to give participants enough time to kind of digest starting the program and then giving people like a week basically to commit themselves to this seminar. But you should have received an invite from either Allison or myself at least a few weeks ago with the heads up. But this is our first panel celebrating Latinx careers in forestry. We have 3 wonderful panelists, 2 of whom are participating as mentors in the program this year, Camila and Henry. And Tony also comes highly recommended from other folks in the network as a valued resource professional with experience in private forestry as well as independent consulting. But yeah, the panel is next Tuesday evening from 5:30 to 7 Pacific time. It is going to be a virtual panel. The first, generally how these panel events are all structured is that the first 45 minutes or so are dedicated to hearing about either different projects that these panelists want to share or their experiences working in the fields of forestry and resource management. And then the last half of the panels are dedicated to a guided discussion about how we can best support folks from these different groups moving forward, and just more unstructured discussion time so participants can engage with the panelists and ask whatever questions they want. And then after this month, we have in honor of Indigenous Heritage Month in November, we will have another career panel, but the dates are to be determined. I think we're shooting for mid-November. Is that correct, Allison?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are going to be more events like this coming up throughout the year, but generally, and I don't mean to step on your toes, Allison, but throughout the year, if participants have ideas for other workshops or panel events that they want to see, please feel free to email Allison or Nick or myself, and we can kind of talk about what's possible. We're definitely interested in, doing things like an RPF exam prep workshop or something like that, or how to get your RPF, since many students are interested in that topic. But again, we're very open and flexible on what kind of topics we cover. So
thanks, Katie. Okay, great. Well, I think we're just about at time, which is awesome. We finished early, so folks can have the rest of their evening back. But yeah, before we head out, looking at this flyer reminded me, Katie mentioned that we're receiving funding from CAL FIRE through their Workforce Development Grant Program. So we want to give them a shout out, but we also have received a lot of funding from the California Licensed Foresters Association, from California Women in Timber, and from the Cal Alumni Foresters Association, and also indirect support from the University of California Cooperative Extension by allowing some of their employees to really put in a lot of work for the program. So big shout out to our funders, and they make the program possible, as do all of you. So really appreciate everybody showing up tonight. Please do reach out, like Katie said, if you have issues, questions, ideas for trainings, if you're available to help out if you're a professional with our resume and workshop trainings, yeah, please reach out to us. I'll be sending a follow-up email to everyone with some of the info that we discussed, including our shared drive, LinkedIn Learning, and all that stuff. Does anybody have final questions before we head out? Now would be the time to ask. Okay.
I was just going to say, I just want to iterate to students, like, if you guys have any questions of like what it's like to be a mentee, like nervous about your first phone call, or just want to talk about resources as a mentee and how to go forth with like establishing your relationship with your mentor, like I am a resource, feel free to email me anytime.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. All right. Well, I'll cut it off there. Thanks, everyone. And I hope you all have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Bye.